Welcome to the 33rd meeting of Junto Club. We return after over a month off thanks to Matt's travel and my COVID. On this episode, we talk about Shu's soon-to-be gambling addiction, the Dave Chappelle controversy, and Matt's experience at the DARPA Subterranean Challenge. For any questions, comments, or if you'd like to rant on something important to you, email juntoclubpodcast@gmail.com. This is Junto Club.
Junto Club.
All right, welcome to the 33rd meeting of the Junto Club on October 24th, 2021. The Junto Club's based on a club Benjamin Franklin organized a long time ago, where he had a group of his friends meet to discuss things like science and philosophy, business and politics and such. So, kind of learn from each other, improve themselves. So we're sort of doing a similar idea where we try to bring topics to discuss amongst ourselves, learn a little bit, give us a reason to go read up on things, to try to have an interesting conversation and improve ourselves a little bit. So that's basically what we do. Today, we're going to have several smaller topics, and then we're going to talk about a recent DARPA robotics competition. And I think that's it. Now, Shu, do you have our, normal Ben Franklin quote to start us off with?
Of course. All right. Today's quote is, quote, "Of learned fools, I have seen 10 times 10. Of unlearned wise men, I have seen 100. End quote. Do I need to repeat that? I think I feel I have trouble with the word fools.
Okay.
So.
I think I got it.
So,
it's the same number, right? So that's the thing. So he's saying there's as many people who are like book smart, but maybe you would say common sense stupid, as there are people who maybe didn't get an education, but are actually pretty, clever.
I can
see
that.
You mean learn fools? People are educated?
I imagine he's talking about, people who are like educated, but not that smart. Well, a lot of people would say would be like book smart, but not common sense smart.
Yeah. No, I like that interpretation because, especially because it's like learned fools 10 times 10. So it's like they would be the ones who are, math smart or, would do the arithmetic. And then unlearned wise men, I have seen 100. So it's a good one.
What's the point, though? What's he trying to say? What's the point? Like 10 times 10, it's 100, and then 100 is the same. So I guess what's the point of him saying that, though? Like, if he just tried to point out that it's, he has seen the same amount of them.
Yeah, I think he's trying to say they're both common, but like in a clever way, right? Like rather than just saying it directly, or
Okay. Okay. All right, then.
This is an easy one this week.
All right.
It seems like a very direct. Sometimes, you bring some weird stuff where like we have no idea, but.
Okay. It's direct to you, but it wasn't like, I was confused. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? 10 times 10 is 102, and then the other one's 100, and then, so. All right, then. Let's get into other topics. So, what should we start with?
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle? No. We'll save it for later.
Okay.
All right. Well, you do your mini topic show.
All right. Then let's start with something controversial. Like, have you guys heard of the Truth social app?
The True social app or Truth?
Truth.
Is that Trump's social media?
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt, you have not heard of it?
Oh, I heard that he made his own, and then it was like flooded with spam. I didn't know the name of it.
It's called Truth. Everything capitalized.
Okay.
It's called
Truth.
Social.
Every tweet is all caps. You can't type in lower caps.
No. The Truth, the name, the Truth. I think is all capitalized.
Okay.
What's your guys? Yeah. You guys have any thoughts?
all I heard was it was supposed to be like all about free speech, right? They're like, we're not going to have moderation because he was mad about being like banned from Twitter. And then some people just like went on and spammed it with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I guess I just don't. I mean, I don't care. You know, I mean, I guess like I'm all for not censoring speech and letting people pick out what ideas they agree with and they think are stupid. But I don't know. Like, I feel like there's been so many, you know, companies that are just like, you know, we want to give people a platform, and you know, they all do it in different ways, and I guess if it works for certain people, good, but I don't know. I probably will not be making an account. I have a Twitter that I just use to follow celebrities. So,
who celebrity you follow?
Me, I mean, I follow comedians. I follow just like random. I don't know if I follow actors, but I mean, I follow comedians, and I follow.
You don't follow Taylor Swift?
Of course, I follow Taylor Swift, but she doesn't tweet very often. I mean, at this point, she really only tweets like when she has a release.
All right, hold up. Why are you bringing this up now, Shu? Because wasn't this made months ago?
No, it just released like. Oh, the reason is because the company went public. And you know what happened, right? It's starting IP is $10 per share, right?
I'm going to assume it went down.
Guess the price 2 days later on Friday.
All right, you guess first, Mike.
$1.50.
I was thinking 70 cents.
70 cents. It's 109.
Really?
Oh, well, way off. Okay.
Yeah.
I would have thought it went down.
Wait, Mike, you were saying $1.50?
Yeah. Well, I thought I thought you were implying it went down. So I was just like, oh, well, if it went down, it had to go down a lot. So, okay. Well, that's interesting because I feel like normally companies, like when they go public, they'll have like a huge day one, and then that'll be like the highest it is for years is like when they first go public.
Yeah, depends on the stock. Like this is almost very similar to GameStop.
I was going to say, do you think this is not because people think this is going to be like the next big social media platform, but kind of like politically motivated?
Yes.
It is politically motivated. It's investors are betting on Trump's brand, right? So people are going to actually tune in and use it, and then maybe we'll go up in the future. So now I think Wall Street Bets also did something about it too. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's very similar ideas. Like actually, like 2 days, it's like you got 10 times, right? Like almost 1,000, I guess, 1,000%. And even on Friday, I think they had to pause the trading because it was going too crazy. So yeah.
I guess good for Trump.
Yeah, I think the company is worth like a few $1 billion now, maybe even $10 billion. So the reason actually there's something about the way they went public is so there's it's called SPAC, that's Special Purpose Acquisition Vehicle. Basically, it's a shell company, right? A blank check. So people just I think the Trump organization with others, they form a shell company, and then they just start basically to get investor to basically like regular investor can pile in investing, right? Even though they don't have any really technology right now, because what they do, they just when they did the technology, they just basically copies another social apps code, right, source code, and then just to almost like just publish it back, and then that's why it's still in beta mode right now. Actually, yeah. So it's an open source code, right? You can just like copy, like fork it. Basically, that's what they did, right? So yeah.
And then they made millions and millions from investors.
Yeah, but right now that means right now they don't actually need to build anything. All they need to do is go and buy maybe a company that does the stuff for you, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, SPAC is like there's three way going public. Right? One is like IPO, like traditional IPO, where you have a rigorous process to extend your bank account, all the other stuff, and then there's a direct listing. And this one, SPAC. SPAC is very much questionable right now. So a lot of people are losing money on the SPAC. It's really very, very risky. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So yeah, sign up using it. Maybe you will test it out. You cannot sign it. You cannot sign it right now. It's testing phase. But some people get actually, as you mentioned earlier, some people actually hack into it, like got access. Actually, someone actually create a Donald J. Trump handle on the app, and then post pictures of like the deprecating like pig. Like post those pictures, like yeah. So anyway, stuff like that.
Well, I don't even have a Twitter account, so I don't think I'm going to make a account on the Trump's Twitter clone. But
yeah, no, I mean, I'm all for like a company, allowing for just like absolute free speech. But it's, I mean, I don't say anything that controversial. So
okay, all right then.
So.
Sounds good. Right. It just to me it's interesting because of the way they went public, and then how much people are still like actually buy into it, and then it might still go out next week. So maybe I get a share, or maybe I put $10 in to see what happens.
I don't know. This is starting to feel like a scam to me, but
yeah,
this wouldn't be the first time people have used like the Trump brand to get money and then just walked away with money.
Well. It's possible.
What was it? There's that Kickstarter for like, or a GoFundMe, or there's some online funding thing to like help fund the wall. And then they just like took like it was in the tens of thousands of dollars. Like I don't think it was like crazy amount, but they got random people to like send them money for it, and they just walked away because like in their terms they're like, we don't have to actually use this. I think that's how the story went.
Was Trump involved?
I don't think Trump was involved. I think they were just some random people put it up, said like, "Oh, support this," got people to donate.
Yeah.
Yeah. For this case, I mean, Trump organization is involved, right? His son is in charge of the technology. They formed a new basic company doing that. So.
Well, I'm guessing. I mean, I guess they probably will actually run like a social media service, right? So in that sense, I don't think it's like a complete scam, but I'd be. If the price had already shot up, is that actually a good investment? I mean, $10 is $10, right? Like, who really cares? But seems dubious.
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, some people made a lot of money on GameStop. Others lost a lot of money on GameStop, but you never know.
Sounds good.
All right, what's your next topic, Shu?
Oh, I think we go to Mike's Dave Chappelle.
All right. I've been seeing more stuff about people mad at him, people supporting him.
All right. I guess I can give a little bit of an sort of overview. So I mean, really, the controversy with Dave Chappelle started with his. I mean, I think it's been a sort of a long, like decades long, or at least decade long, sort of issue, like between him and the. Sort of gay and trans communities, but because he like in his specials he's made like lots of gay jokes and trans jokes. I mean, I guess it was most acute though in recent memory with his last special. He came under a lot of fire because he made a lot of gay jokes and sort of trans jokes, and some people were like I've read one review that was of his previous special that was just very much like, like Dave Chappelle is like above this, and basically like because he made jokes sort of like, oh, I miss Bruce Jenner, so like something like like he used the dead name of Bruce Jenner, and he like basically said like, oh, like guys go and get their dicks cut off, and like it's sort of I mean, it's not necessarily groundbreaking material, like. So
do you have an example of what he say?
Well, I mean, that's literally what I was doing. Like he.
Oh no! In the Netflix special.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. So this was his previous special. So, I mean, he signed, like, I can't remember if it was a 4 or 5 stand-up deal with Netflix. So he's come out with, like, tons of specials in the last, like, 3 to 4 years. So his last special got, like, tons of controversy. Like, or it came under a lot of controversy, I should say, from, like, you know, the gay, lesbian, trans communities, because he made lots of jokes about those communities. So,
Gotcha.
So basically this special, honestly, I felt like a lot of it was more serious than most Dave Chappelle specials, like, because he was addressing that controversy. So, and I mean, like, and so, I mean, I felt like a lot of it, like, honestly, like the last 20 to 30 minutes was just like almost like a dedication to like a trans woman who he had taken under his wing. And he had like let her open for him in San Francisco because she was like wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and basically she like had bombed for 40 minutes, and he's like, I'm gonna like mentor you, and like off stage he talked about how funny she was, how quick she was, and she had defended him when this controversy emerged, like from the previous special. And like online, like she was online bullied to the point she killed herself. That was like the shocking, like sort of end of the special, you know. So, like I say, it was relatively serious, but I mean, he, of course, in his discussion of like, you know, how the gay community doesn't like him, the gay lesbian community doesn't like him, the trans community doesn't like him, like because of his like. Him discussing that on a stand-up special, he's of course sort of inserting some punchline type jokes in there. Like it wasn't like, I mean, you can say they were funny or they weren't, but you know, he's trying to be funny throughout most of it. I mean, there are a couple moments where I think he's literally just like talking, almost like doing a pseudo apology in a way, or a pseudo like. Not necessarily apology, because I don't think he was trying to apologize, but sort of trying to sort of frame himself as less of a, I guess, enemy of those communities than you know they paint him to be. So I guess that's really the controversy. I mean, he and I mean the Netflix, like the head at Netflix has defended him. Basically saying that we support artists' free speech, and like even though there was a walkout at Netflix, he has said basically he wants to hear out their concerns, but he has no intention, and he doesn't believe there's anyone even really calling for like the removal of the special from the service or anything like that.
How big is how big the controversy really is?
Well, I mean, I've heard a lot about it. I mean, I certainly.
I mean, exactly. I'm saying that maybe media is just overblowing this thing.
I mean, I guess
maybe
because
the media is turning against, like, I feel like the whole culture is turning against cancel culture. No. So anything like relating to cancel culture is almost like being overblown now. Everybody is almost piling in. Maybe I'm not sure.
I mean, it's hard to say because I feel like both sides like are like, I feel like definitely there was a time where the right accused the left of being like censoring and trying to like, you know, cancel them and like policing speech and trying to like take people's careers away based on what they've said. At this point, I feel like both sides are pretty guilty of a lot. And I don't know how much cancel culture, I mean, maybe cancel culture is going away, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. But I mean,
because in the protest, because I think some people protest, like actually a lot of like maybe Netflix people actually protest outside the headquarters, maybe, right? But there's only like a few dozen people like protest really. So,
well, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily shock me. I mean, like I say, I mean, because Netflix, I believe, like, are part of the demands of the protesters and stuff were like money for like creators who come from different like underrepresented communities and stuff like that. And I think Netflix already designates money in those areas. And I feel like Netflix gives, I mean, that's sort of what the CEO was saying in his interview, I'm pretty sure, was basically like, we give a lot of different types of people a lot, like a big platform and big voices. So basically, it's hard for like me to say like we're giving a voice to a hateful person and like targeting different communities if we leave this special up. So
and he's so okay. So in his special, right? He has what's his main message in besides making fun of like trans people, right? So what's his main message?
Well, I mean, I don't think he has like a main message. I see that. Okay. In all honesty, like the controversy that's here, I didn't even really want to focus on it because it's like the larger point I want to make, and really the point that I think a lot of people have made already, is this is a stand-up comedy special. Like,
yeah,
I don't care what he says. I either laugh or I don't. Like he can say whatever he wants. I either laugh or I don't. And that should be the beginning and end of any stand-up comedy special.
Okay.
So, yeah. So basically, I mean, he makes jokes because like the Star Trek guy, like George Takei or whatever, like however you pronounce his last name, like he came out and tweeted something about like, oh, like if Dave Chappelle had made jokes about Jewish people, like this wouldn't be. And like one of his recurrent jokes throughout the special was about Jewish people. So it's like, so clearly a lot of people are just piling on this and like haven't even seen the special. So, but I mean, because he targets pretty much like, I don't know that there's anyone he necessarily like leaves out that's like super glaring. So, and I don't even know that I laughed out loud maybe 2 or 3 times. Right? It was not like in my opinion, it was not his greatest work, but it's just more.
It's controversial in itself.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I don't know that it is because I think a lot of people are just like it was whatever. But I mean, I guess the point that's been made time and again by many comedians is just like, we're comedians. Like our job is to make you laugh, like beginning and end. Like if we talk about like a socially controversial topic and don't make you laugh, then we're not hateful. We're not anything else. You just didn't find it funny. Go away. Like, and I know that a lot of people have different opinions saying like they have, a big platform or, that like their jokes normalize hate or whatever else they might say. But I mean, as someone who likes gallows humor and has a reasonably dark sense of humor, I basically think if it's said in the context of like in a stand-up show, like if it's said on a comedy stage, I tend to side with the comedian, and they can basically say what they want if it's in trying to make something sort of formed as a joke.
Got you. Matt, you have any thoughts?
Slightly tangential, but do y'all feel like I kind of feel like maybe cancel culture is getting to be like a more clear line in the sand? Because I think you were saying like earlier, like there's kind of like, is cancel culture going away or being pushed back? But I still hear about cases where like, someone starts yelling racial slurs at someone on the street and someone videos them, right? And then they lose their job like the next day, which you could argue is the same thing. And then, but most people are like, okay, yeah, that's kind of reasonable. But then, but it also seems like there's a pushback for stuff like Dave Chappelle's skits and stuff aren't going to be taken down, right? So maybe we're kind of like, initially it was a bit more chaotic and we're starting to kind of come up with a more clear line of like, hey, this is acceptable, this is not. Like there's a boundary of how far you can push something.
I mean, I guess the line may be getting clearer, or just maybe just more expected. Like when someone does something, you're like, fired, oh so fired. Whereas before it may have been like, are they going to be fired? Aren't they going to be fired? But like, so I mean, we may be getting a clearer line, and people do. I still think like that line should be maybe explicitly spelled out. I mean, there are, like certain things where it's like, okay, yes, that's, like inciting violence. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much spelled out in law, but I guess there's other things that, maybe like, I guess, like, for example, another controversial figure is like Alex Jones, right? I mean, so like he has, and I think he fucked up badly, yeah, sort of right after the Sandy Hook controversy, like, so he seemed to suggest that it was like staged or whatever, which was idiotic. But like, I don't know that, like, I obviously have never watched anything of his, but I don't know that he ever explicitly said anything to like incite like violence or hate towards like the parents of the kids who died. But like his followers like sort of started like harassing them and shit. And like he has lost like everything. Like I think he very recently they ruled he was liable for like, like they could sue the shit out of him. So it's like something like that. I guess it's just like the speech is terrible, but it's like, at what point does at what point is it like, are we like, these humans are so stupid you can't even like suggest something that's like totally outrageous, and I guess I don't know. I wish people weren't as stupid as they are, because honestly, it's just like, if I hear that, I'm like, that's really dumb, I'm not listening, and that's it.
Okay.
But if I hear a horrible, tasteless joke that I disagree with, I'm like, okay, that isn't funny, I'm not listening. But
you're saying they're stupid, but they still have the right to say it? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That's like, I want people to be able to say really stupid shit, and people to go, they're stupid, I'm not listening, or I'm not like associating myself with them. But yeah, but in any case, like, yeah, this special, Dave Chappelle said shit you may disagree with in the form of a joke. So I say laugh or don't. But.
I mean, think of all the random shit Alex Jones said, and he still did have a show for a while, right? So I think similarly with comedy, like the audience, right? What's more important, like the audience who appreciates comedy don't seem to be the people who are less often seem to be the people who would like jump to like, wanting to cancel someone over saying something offensive. Oh, what? Oh, Mike's gone. Okay, we've been on a detour. So I was making a point earlier, is that, Alex Jones like most people were like either hated Alex Jones or just thought he was crazy if they listened to him. But he had an audience, right? So the audience for comedy, and Mike, you know this a lot better than I do, but the audience for comedy doesn't seem like the type of people who mostly would be like, particularly sensitive about jokes about this stuff, right? I feel like the audience for comedy I've seen is people largely like you who are totally fine with dark humor, going to like controversial stuff. They think it's funny. And like, there might be stuff that they don't find as funny, but they're like, okay with people kind of like testing the boundaries, right? And if you agree with this, Chappelle will if this is true, you could say Chappelle will probably be all right. Cause if the people who are upset aren't really part of the audience for his, basically his profession anyway, it's kind of like it doesn't really matter that much. Right.
Right. Yeah. And I would say it depends certainly on so if you're an up and comer, like, and you don't have your own audience, then certainly there are audiences that have pretty distinct lines in the same, you say a certain word they don't like, and it's like they're, horrified and taken aback. But yes, with Chappelle, I mean, it doesn't matter at all. I mean, he could do shows in the middle of, Ohio or wherever he lives, and, he could make tons of money and be fine. So, I mean, for him, and he basically makes that point in the special, like, he'll be fine no matter what. He essentially can't be canceled. It's more about people who may not be as secure a position. And they, like the guy who I don't even remember which group he offended, but there was a guy who was very much up and coming, and he was going to be on SNL, and they found an old joke of his, and like he never did an episode of SNL. Like he got fired immediately. So
yeah. Well, I feel like the three of us are kind of generally biased towards the freer speech, push boundaries side. Sadly, we don't have someone who's, it'd be more interesting if we had someone who's like, I think this sort of stuff has like real negative harm and like explains how, but we don't have someone to explain that reasoning. So you only get one side of the argument today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people on that side sort of contend there's just things that shouldn't be made fun of. Like there are things sort of off limits, and my sort of belief about that is like, as soon as it's a slippery slope argument, which is not a good one, but it's sort of like basically who decides? Because like if you are offended by X and I'm offended by Y and someone else is offended by Z, like a lot of topics quickly like get to be off the table. So yeah.
No, I've also heard a lot of people who say basically they say punch up, don't punch down.
Yes.
And I mean, I can kind of understand, like if someone only punched down in the sense that they only, like targeted groups that do get more, have more issues in society, it would be like a little weird. But I feel like if, someone who fairly, sort of punches everywhere, right? Like including their own groups, then I can believe, I can be like, I feel like if you do everything, including making fun of yourself, it feels like an honest, like, we're making jokes and it's not hateful. If you keep making jokes towards some groups and you don't like jokes about yourself or anything, related to you, then obviously that starts to come off as like hypocritical and be like, okay, why are you making these jokes? Are you just trying to be funny, or do you actually have like issues that you're sort of like, smoke screening with humor?
Right. And I'd like to believe that audiences are smart enough to pick up on that, but
that's probably not. That's certainly not always going to be true. I would make that bet, but
yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, sounds like Dave Chappelle. It's going to be fine.
Well, yes, he's worth.
According to the expert wisdom of us three random people, he is also super rich already. So I think he's.
Yeah. Also, I mean, Netflix invested a lot of money into his contract, right? So Netflix is not going to say, "Oh, we're going to cancel him." So.
Right.
It's about money. It's all about money in the end.
I think he signed over I mean, this is the last special. So, I mean, Netflix could do whatever. Like, both of them, like, he's been given the money they signed him for, and he's done the work. So, at this point.
I think it's one of the most watched specials, probably, because of the controversy. Besides Squid Game.
That's true. Honestly, I still haven't seen it, but it did, just because you hear people talking about it, I'm like, I want to see, like, is it really, like, am I going to be like, oh, that is bad? Or am I going to be like, oh, this is like nothing. They're like, overreacting, because you don't really know until you see it in the full context, right? So.
Well, yeah. Speaking of that, have you guys watched Squid Games? Did we talk about it already or no? I don't think we
No, but I want to. It's on my list because I'm seeing it everywhere. So I'm going to watch it. So we just have to hold off a few episodes while I get around to getting through it.
I would never.
Mike?
I would never have seen it because I just don't watch TV ever. I'm terrible at it. But because I got COVID, I did binge the entire series. So
wait, how many episodes is it?
9.
Is it hour long or 30 minutes?
Hour, I think.
Okay.
So Mike, you finish it?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
How'd you like it? No spoilers, of course.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah, I'll just say, not to spoil it for Matt. I'll just say it was fine. I enjoyed it, but it's very familiar. Like, there have been things similar to it, but
the Hunger Game and Game of Thrones combined.
Sure. Yeah. Yes, that is.
I mean, that sounds pretty good to me.
No, I mean, it is good. It has good moments, but it is very familiar.
I just know there's that old guy in the jumpsuit that I keep seeing everywhere now. And I'm like, I want to know who he is. What is he doing?
Perfect time for Halloween, right? Halloween kind of costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's what everyone, I believe that is the most popular costume.
To me, it's really strange. Actually, a Korean drama became like this like one of the most popular show for Netflix, right?
Yeah, I first heard of this from people who were liked K-dramas, because there's people in the US who are like really into K-dramas, and then I heard
I used to watch a lot of K-dramas too.
Oh yeah, but it's Breakaway. I mean, Parasite was similar, right? Like it was a Korean movie that kind of broke out, and I'm kind of thinking there's similar vibes because there seems to be some like societal commentary in Squid Games, which obviously Parasite had a lot of, but I don't know.
No, I mean, Korea definitely is making a push to, like, a big push. I mean, I think it's really been since the 90s to, like, break onto the entertainment scene, because K-pop is pretty big in the US, too, so.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
All right. So you've seen all of Squid Game too, Shu?
No, I have not. I don't have Netflix, and also I don't really watch TV much anymore. And also I don't watch K-drama anymore.
All right. Well,
because K-drama, actually, I used to watch a lot of K-drama, but they made me cry too much. So they have all these like people dying very, very. Korean drama have really good way of making it so sad that it makes you cry. So people don't watch it. It's good, but don't watch it.
Well, you gotta watch this one, and not having Netflix is not a problem in the internet age. And also, if you're traveling, don't you have a lot of time where you're just like kind of downtime in like a hotel room?
No, traveling. I have. If I downtime, I'll be reading about cryptocurrency. I don't have time for TV shit.
You got to be making money.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm reading a lot of stuff. What I'm reading, I don't watch TV. Like you could just like waste of your time. Mind melt. Melt your mind and stuff like that.
Okay. She was too much of an intellectual for something like Squid Game.
Exactly.
It's below him.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of crypto, I guess. Have you heard of the crypto castle?
I have not.
No. Okay, so apparently I think the castle is in Ireland. It's called Crypto Castle. The first Crypto Castle is because it's basically what do you call it? It's a addiction clinic.
Oh.
Right? So a lot of people are actually addicted to crypto trading. So there's one guy there. There's one guy there actually just staring at the Bitcoin chart every day, just like see it go up and down. And also like they use a lot of astrology, all kind of like weird science stuff to predict the movement of the price. So these people got really so addicted to it that like 24/7, that's what they do all day, every day, right? So that's why they are going to this crypto castle to get like treatment for it. And this is the first clinic actually treating like crypto addiction. So,
is it basically like a gambling addiction? Like horse racing and stuff? It's kind of the same.
Exactly. Yeah,
but instead of, trying to bet on a horse, you're betting on your currency.
Yeah.
Preferred coin. So how long until you end up there, Shu?
I don't know. I think I'm pretty close. Yeah, because I'm watching the Shubu coin.
How do I invest in the crypto castle, enterprise for?
I had no idea. You probably need to call a psychologist there.
What if that place released their own coin for investors? Be like, if you think we're going to be big, buy our coin.
That's genius. Maybe you should call them and say, "Hey, I'm not going to make a coin for you."
I mean, yeah, they're going to help spread the problem that makes them money. It just makes sense.
Exactly.
They start to accept payments there. It's like so many coins don't have like something you can pay for them with, but we do. Our treatment.
Yeah.
Now the first step is to get rid of all your crypto. We'll take it from you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's more fun than people trying to make crypto video game skins.
Oh, talking about that. Have you got digital? So what's your thought on that crypto skin?
I mean, as far as I know, they don't really exist. But people are like, "Oh, you could own your video game skin with like cryptocurrency, and then like use it between games and trade." And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense at all. because one, like if you have a skin in one game, how do you just apply it to another, right? Like if you got your Fortnite skin, you can't just slap that on Pikachu in Super Smash Brothers, right? It doesn't make sense. You would need like an entirely new skin made. And why would the game developers want to spend all this time and resources making like versions of items for their games for something that someone bought somewhere else, right? Like they didn't pay the game dev for the thing, right? If they want to make skins, they're just going to sell the skins in the game. So I see this like brought up. I had someone on Reddit say that something to me. They're like, oh, you can do this stuff like this. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense right now because everything is like not connected. So in the future, I guess that when people are thinking about something called metaverse, well, I think I mentioned it before, which is going to be one of the future topics down the line. So it's one basically like in the future, like instead of just one universe, like Fortnite and stuff, everything is integrated in a way, like cross universe, right? That way you can, and one way you can do it is using blockchain technology to do it, like NFT stuff. So that way you can actually verify you own this stuff. That way you can, and that's why actually Facebook is actually changing its name, like similar to Google, right? Google became Alphabet, and Facebook is going to change its name to something. And I think Zuckerberg announced that actually Facebook is not social network company anymore. It's going to be a metaverse company, right? So actually, so yeah, the skin in the game, right? Yes, that a lot of people are piling into like you talking about NFT before, right? Now there's something called digital fashion, right? It's fashion. People create fashion items for like NFTs like this. You can own in a digitally, right? And actually, recently there's a Sotheby's. I think Sotheby's is one of the very like expensive like auction house. Actually, just auction a few millions of like just digital fashion items, right? So a lot of people are designing digital fashions for people now. When
you say that, right? Like, what are these items? Like, is it an image,
these are
a model, a texture?
Yeah, like auction. It's not augmented reality, right? For example, you take a picture of yourself and using like AR, like augmented reality filters to put those like digital clothes on yourself, and then
it's like. So you have VR avatars, right? Where you can make yourself look like whatever. So the people are basically buying avatar skins. So things to make your VR avatar look different.
Yeah. And this one is actually in the digital fashion is specifically, I think it's one example is for like AR. Like when you take in Snapchat, right? You take a picture, you can apply filters, right? Right now you can if you own this digital item, like clothing, you actually can apply that to yourself. And your picture turn out really cool. Like instead of like, for example, right now, if we are Zoom, right? In Zoom, right? You can, technically, someone could design a digital clothing for you, even at home. You are not wearing anything. You can like Zoom have a background, right? They can apply a suit or anything you want to wear on a video conferencing, right? So, and then that you can interoperate. For example, Google Meet and Zoom is not really separate, right? In the future, maybe if you combine them together, if you maybe you own the item in Zoom, maybe you own it in other like Skype, you can use it in Skype or Google Meet as well. I don't know. So this is one of the applications right now, right? You can just totally do it. It's really easy to do it in Zoom, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Companies just don't play well together, so I don't know how soon this is going to happen. But
I remember, I think there was a similar thinking when like web services were booming, and like micro web services, where people send different like web services together to do specific things, and it will be all sort of distributed. But what happened is kind of web services like centralized around big players like Amazon, because random businesses didn't have there wasn't a good model to like coordinate random businesses having micro web services work together and them getting paid for it, right? So they had no incentive to like run it.
Say it again. I think you break it off in the beginning. Like, what do you mean, like web servers?
Web services. So like think of things online, servers online that might do something but not be a website. I read some article about this a while ago where people thought these micro web services started to get big. So, you rather than, doing all the calculations and computations on your own website, you might call web services, right? Like, I mean, they're basic examples like you call something
cloud
to get
computing.
Yeah, you might call something to get the weather, right? That could be a service that you like your website like calls the service, gets weather data back, displays like a forecast of the weather for the people, right? It could call a service to get, the Bitcoin, the history of Bitcoin in the last 24 hours and display that for the people on their website, right? Or other things.
Okay.
Anything a website or computer can do, really. So there's this idea for a little while that like people would be able to like make bigger things out of all these micro web services, like businesses would start up web services and like people would run them. But what happened seemingly more is that you got big players sort of conglomerated relevant stuff into entities, right? Because there was no way for like a business. You want to start a website.
Your internet is sucking.
You're breaking up.
And you want to use a service to run
You
your
broke
product,
off.
right? There's a bunch much handle this much volume. Oh,
You broke off.
Yeah. You've been frozen for like 30 of the last 40
My bad.
seconds.
Yeah, it says my internet connection is unstable.
So you were talking about like everything that became central.
Wait, so how much have I said that's made it through?
I mean, I think we have reasonably.
Yeah. Okay.
So
idea. Basically, to summarize super fast. Yeah, it's centralized because there's issues with having it all decentralized, right? Paying small businesses making guarantees over performance for their web services. Long story short, things like Amazon Web Services made like, all of our stuff in a big package rather than a big distributed thing. So I'm wondering, I don't know. My hunch is still that NFTs will go that way more. Even if they're used, there'll be things like Steam Market, which is a centralized platform rather than a decentralized games trying to each incorporate NFTs that like, because a game would have to make something for each NFT that they want to work in their game, right?
All
right,
yeah,
whatever.
It's possible. It's possible, but that's one of the main thing about everything central. That's one of the main advantage of blockchain, right? It has the potential to make it decentralized.
Yeah,
but of course,
decentralized.
Maybe that's
And there are benefits of stuff like that being decentralized, but are there benefits to the companies? Like, how do you put that into a system that is good for the company that makes them want to set up a business model around this decentralized system, right? Like, because how does a company get money off of letting people use their NFTs in their game?
Yeah. We'll see. It'll be interesting, I guess. Because just look at Bitcoin right now, right? Exactly. You can just look at Bitcoin. No one really control. I mean, maybe someone control Bitcoin. Now we don't really know, but it seems like no one controls Bitcoin right now. It's completely decentralized currency somehow, right? And then you just expand it to the NFT, the skins, the game, the metaverse in the future. Maybe it could be something similar. I don't know, right? But of course, Facebook is getting into it right now. Of course, if Facebook, what they try to do is try to own metaverse, right? So it's potentially future.
So I mean, that's one thing. If Facebook centralizes it, right? Like the Steam library or Amazon Web Services, they say, well, we all have this thing and they're huge and have a billion people who use it. So then they say, oh, you want to join the Facebook metaverse, you have to, integrate with this stuff so people can use their Facebook NFTs with it. That's a situation where it might work. But in a sense, would it be decentralized at that point, or would it be just centralized under the Facebook, metaverse? It'd be somewhere in between, right? But like the Facebook metaverse could provide the central structure that, allows different games and companies to come in and out with their own, products or features that work with it.
So anyway, so that's why I find this space kind of interesting, because there's always interesting stuff going on, unanswered questions, and then this future is not really, nobody can really know what's the future looks like. So Cool. Anyway, I will keep reading instead of watching Squid Game. That was the point. That was the whole point.
No, that's not the point. You can take a 9-hour break for Squid Game.
Wow, that's nice. All right, no.
All right.
Maybe you're right. Maybe. Yeah.
Just one power day, just get it all done one Saturday.
Yeah. Then
right.
you're gonna have season 2, season 3, right? It's never ends, right? Keep going. So, I know how the game works.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about DARPA.
Yeah, I guess.
Or did you have any other topics you wanted to bring up first?
No, I think we can go DARPA now.
All right, I'll start with like a brief summary, for anyone who doesn't know what happened, and then y'all can ask questions and whatnot, and we can dig into details. But I guess a month ago now, DARPA had the final competition for what they called the Subterranean Challenge. Basically, teams sent teams of robots into underground environments. So things like caves and subway tunnels and stuff like that, mine tunnels. And the robots had an hour to sort of try to find a bunch of stuff and provide its location too. And what made this challenge really hard is, I think what made it hardest is the communications nature. So in things like tunnels and caves, you lose that wireless communication really fast. So you can't rely on, an operator doing everything. DARPA also restricted it to a single operator. So you couldn't have like a team of people managing a team of robots. You had one guy. So you had to push on the autonomy, the ability for robots to do things on their own, be autonomous. And you had to also push on communications, having these robots drop communications nodes like in the tunnels as they went on to try to build a communication network. You really needed both to do well, to be able to have robots both explore deep, find things, and get that data back to the operator where it would be scored, and you'd get points for finding things, essentially. So that was the DARPA challenge, Sub-T challenge. I was a part of Team Styro 61, and we got second place, tying in number of points with first place, losing only because they found the artifact, their last artifact, quicker than we found our last artifact. It was super tight. I'm sure they did the same thing, but we saw a bunch of ways where, like, if the tiniest difference, we could have gone one artifact more. We actually had data downloading. When the run ended, we were downloading data from a robot that had been out of comms until like the last 5 minutes. And because it had slipped and fallen deep, and another robot managed to get close enough to kind of like bridge the connection. And we were downloading data, and one of the things that hadn't gone back yet was like another object, right? And like that one detection would have been us winning.
Yeah, how they score the points?
Every artifact you are able to accurately localize. So give the position within a few meters, you get a point.
So the goal is to find objects in underground environment.
Exactly. Find and localize. So you got to get the position right. If you just find an object, but you can't put it where it is on the map. And localize by what? So basically you'd have a cave entrance, and DARPA would have this gate with like, images like AR tags or things for you to base off of. And this gate would define sort of the origin of the world, right? 000, your axes. And so you had to put the position relative to this gate. And the robots just go into this tunnel, and very quickly you lose sight of them, and they just got to do their thing.
And who is Styro?
Good question. Styro is a public research organization out of Australia. So a lot of the teams were, universities and the like. JPL had a team, working with NASA. CMU had a team. But Styro was the main of our team, and they're, as I said, kind of like a public research institution. They have, they get government contracts and do funding and stuff, but it's mostly professional research scientists and things like that.
Yeah, you're American. Why are you working for Australian company?
You know this question. I was working, so Georgia Tech was partnered with them. So the Styro team had two partners, Georgia Tech and Innocent. Innocent handled the drones, so we had some flying drones. That's what their job was. And then Georgia Tech handled the multi-agent coordination. So trying to get was our primary responsibility, which Shu knows because she was actually on this project too once upon a time earlier on. Not to get into
So we got, how many points we got?
23.
And who's the other team that got first place?
Cerberus.
And they used the animal. They made an animal robot, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure they're pretty happy about this. So I'm trying to, think about this from the perspective of people who aren't in the robotics field. I think most people have seen the Boston Spot, the yellow dog robot that can can kick and it'll catch itself and stuff. That's been online a lot. So a lot of teams actually use the Boston Spot robot. Boston Dynamics robot is the name. Boston Dynamics is the company. Spot's the name of the robot. We used it too, and it worked pretty well. But I think this was Cerberus team made their own four-legged platform called Animal, and they were the only team that had their own legged platform there. And they sent in a bunch of them, and it did well. At least 4.
Okay.
They might have had more, and I don't know if they sent like more than 4 in, but they definitely brought at least like 4 to the thing. So I would have to look at the final tapes again. I didn't go watch. I skimmed through some of the other teams, but I didn't watch like everything.
They use drones too? Do they have drones too? Or they mainly just using the animal?
I don't remember them having a drone. Most teams, like half the teams launched drones or had drones. I'm trying to remember. I can pull it up if it's an important question, but what I remember from their team, the Cerberus.
Finish your point about animal.
Well, I mean, it's their own, I guess you could say, homegrown quad-legged platform, and I'm sure they were very happy to do well with it, and be like, well, we're competing because Boston Dynamics is kind of known as like the top tier of like robots with legs, I'll say. So I'm sure they were happy about that.
Yeah, I think European company, right? Which I forgot which country now, but yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, so I mean, anyone who's actually interested would be like, well, this sounds weird. What the hell does this look like? If you go on YouTube, do DARPA Sub-T, they got a bunch of videos, both like detailed long runs and like the final thing where they try to, show highlights of the final runs of all the teams without it being too long. In the earlier competitions, they live streamed it, and especially because teams weren't as effective and just it's not that exciting to watch live anyway, unless you're like one of the people really, involved, is very boring. So this time they took the final. So the 8 teams ran, at their own time. And what they did is they showed an hour-long run where they clipped between the different teams' highlights as if it was a live run where all teams were running in parallel. So that's how they set up.
Gotcha. So how much money you won?
Our team won $1 million.
I thought it's 2 million, no?
That was first place.
Oh, but okay.
First
$1 million is not bad either.
It's a lot of zeros on a check, and they did have those big cardboard checks you get, that they have in game shows and stuff. So they handed them to the teams, everyone who got some prize money. It was it was a fun time. So this was the end of it. So DARPA is known in the robotics community. They do these challenges every now and then, pretty regularly now. Every few years they'll have a challenge.
Yeah, the first one was the
Grand Challenge. So the first Grand Challenge was autonomous driving in deserts. Basically, they had these kind of desert roads, and they wanted cars to autonomously follow it. And the very first Grand Challenge, no one got even close. Like no one even touched like a quarter of the way. Just everything crashed. And then they did another one like around a year later, and that time a team actually finished it. And a little after that, they did the Urban Challenge, which was kind of extending from it, which was autonomous driving, but in urban environments, obviously kind of easier ones. So the Grand Challenge was around, like, just to be clear, it was around like 2005, I think. And then I think the Urban Challenge was around like 2008, 2009. I mean, these things go over years, so that was kind of the range. And after the Urban Challenge, that's sort of where like spawned the whole self-driving thing, because the people who worked on a lot of those challenges went to do these join companies or start companies that are doing the self-driving now. And self-driving is exploding. More and more companies are like investing more and more money and, people into it now. So, I think there's a lot of expectation that like DARPA does these competitions and then they sort of can spawn entire industries or really like push the grounds of like what is going on. Having a bunch of teams all try to compete. And I mean, DARPA spends money to fund teams, so they'll give money to teams to do this, but teams spend way more money than they get from DARPA, either from the prize money or the funding, just because they want to, do good in the competition and get the notoriety.
Yeah. So you mentioned the competition is in Louisville, Kentucky.
The final competition is in Louisville, Kentucky. There's these mega caverns. Sorry,
Yeah.
what are you going to ask?
Okay. I was going to ask. Like, I think you mentioned some interesting encounters with the locals. So I want to hear some. Yeah.
I don't think I had any interesting interaction with the locals. I had fun showing Australians around the U.S. a little bit. They were mind blown by Chick-fil-A. They could not believe it. We went to a Chick-fil-A that, had like the line is like lunchtime. The line's like wrapping out around to the street. And then, so they're doing the full Chick-fil-A experience where they have the people going to cars, to get the menu, give you your change, bringing the food and everything, and just like going, doing 10 times the volume a normal fast food restaurant can put through, right? Because they're crazy.
Yeah.
And these people were blown away. They also liked the food a lot. They're like, this is delicious. And they were like, I can't believe the service. And then someone told them about how Chick-fil-A has some controversy due to what some of the owner of Chick-fil-A spends some of his money on. So they started calling it Jesus chicken. And, it was fun times, but.
Oh, wow. I had no idea that actually Australians can be impressed by Chick-fil-A.
They don't have a Chick-fil-A there. Apparently, they just got their first Taco Bell, and they said it's crazy packed. And I was telling them, I'm like, sounds like y'all need to start a Chick-fil-A in Australia, get that opened up, and just start making money. Because in the U.S., you open up a Chick-fil-A somewhere that doesn't have it, you're just printing cash, right? Like every Chick-fil-A I've ever seen at lunchtime is just line, around the parking lot. Anyway, so Louisville, Kentucky has these things called mega caverns, which are actually pretty cool. I want to describe it. They basically drilled out, so there weren't natural caves. They drilled out the ground for like the rock. I think it was like granite or something. And they ended up making it like 100 feet deep. And they have these massive pillars or pylons that are like 40 feet wide, like spread out. So you just have this massive area. But since then, most of it, they've refilled up that 100 feet to they've refilled up like 70 feet of it with just so because originally they mined it out for material. Then they started dumping like old construction material, things like old concrete and dirt and stuff they didn't have a place to put. So they started using it as a dumping ground to fill back up. Not all of it is filled up. So there's some areas where it goes deeper, but you go back in it. So it's just this huge open space. It's a very interesting thing to be in. But DARPA didn't use the cave that much. They actually made kind of their own environment. Like it was like a movie set. Like you went in and they had fake everything. Like they had a mine tunnel where there were actually like cargo containers, and inside of it they had fake like foam and mesh to make like it look like a mine tunnel, but it's like a movie set prop. And they would drill a shovel to the wall so it looks like a shovel as part of a mine tunnel, but your robot couldn't knock it around and get it in the way for the next team or something. And they did the same thing for the cave circuit and an urban circuit. They actually built a subway platform that tried to look like a New York subway, with stairs and up and down and, the little pillars and a little thing where you're supposed to tap your card to pay and the robot has to go around it. So they built this all up really elaborately. Within these giant caves, they actually just built their own little fake cave for you to drive through, which was funny but challenging. I think some teams were thrown off because most of the things we had done before were more open anyway. And then we're like, the mega caverns is going to be big, but it's actually really tight. Like the last run, we walked through it afterwards. It was hard for a person to get through. Like I slipped a few times trying to being hunched over, walking around, ground uneven and shaky and stuff. They even had areas where they just poured a bunch of water in it. So you're just walking through water and stuff. It was tough.
Wait, and the robot had to go through water too?
All right. This was a lot of detail, but yeah, not like pouring on it. Well, there's one spot some water was falling down, but that mostly your robot had to get through puddles and stuff in some areas. That was one of their many challenges. They also had, they had a room that's a bit more open and they put some shelves and boxes and stuff, right? So this was part of the urban area. They had a bunch of Amazon boxes in there, to make it look realistic. So we launched a drone in there once, and this was on a video, and you can see our drones like between two shelves, and it does a really amazing job of launches from the back. So we had I'm going to give, maybe this is too many details, but we had 2 large robots with tracks. Think of like a tiny tank, like a tank you could stand on. It's about like 5 feet long, 3 feet wide, roughly that size. Pretty big. We had drones on their back and they could launch off these. Well, you can see they have this amazing clip of the drone launching, and it's hovering between like a shelf and a wall with only a few inches on either side of like space, but it's like really stable. It's doing a great job. The problem is there's junk in here. So this piece of like plastic, like it's like a foam or something that you might get like when you open up like a TV or something, like it, kind of like plastic fluff that just can go around. You can see it start to like spin around on the ground because of the air that's cycling through the drone. And then it flips up and goes over and just goes, gets like sucked on top of the drone from the propellers and just crashes it. So you see it. And we were there. We couldn't see this happen because it's in the environment, but we're sitting around the entrance and we hear the DARPA guys because they see this starting to move before it crashes. And we hear them from like a trailer where they're watching this on camera be like, oh, and then it crashes. We hear the drone crash from inside, smash, and they're like, oh, watching it on live feed of like the drone smash. And I'm like, we're like, oh God, what just happened?
They probably did a poor job. Did they do a poor job like fixing those so they don't destroy? I thought they're not supposed not to destroy robots, right?
Is it a poor job or were we supposed to not launch there? Well, they had an object hidden at a high point in this room. So I think they wanted drones to launch there and it just was one of those random things. I think it was just chance.
So it's like one of the basketball games that the referee maybe had bad calls, stuff like that. So you're saying that we could have won if that did not happen.
This wasn't in the final run, so it was fine. That didn't impact our ability to win or lose at all. So they let teams run a couple times beforehand.
When they destroy our drone, right? That means maybe we waste our time, like fixing it, fixing or replace a new one. So that,
I don't think that happened. And fun fact, that drone actually flew afterwards. They replaced the rotors, so it smashed hard. It looked like it would have been dead. And then they basically changed the rotors that, the blades that spin, because those were all mashed up. And then, they flew it and they're like, it works. But it could have.
Yeah, something else could be changed that you don't really know, right? So.
That's true. They flew it again. I don't think we used the drone in the final. I think we did. We were like, okay, we'll put that thing on the side because maybe there's something that's part broken will fail at some other point. But
I call it sabotage.
Sabotage. You're starting to you're getting into it now. You're like, this is my team. I can't believe the refs allowed that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the one thing that's actually really interesting. I want to talk about is coordinated robotics, right? How did they do? Because in the beginning, just one guy, right? Because all teams have like more than like almost like around 20 people, right? And this team just have one person. Right, but I think in the later competition, he able to recruit some student to work with him. But still, it's very, very, very like minimum resource, right? So how did they do?
So they didn't do well in the hardware competition again. So that's kind of been his story, trying to get into hardware. He has had trouble, and the team he's recruited, I think it includes mostly like undergrads and stuff. So these aren't like, advanced students. So it's probably more educational for them than like, the optimal team. But I think he won some prize. I don't remember what place he got, but I think he placed in the virtual competition and won money again. So he
usually got at first place, but I'm not sure about the final.
Yeah. So he got some money again. I don't remember if it was like first. I think it was first or second.
How many points they got? How many points he got for?
I don't remember how much he got in the final. He got some points. I know he got something in the final, but he didn't.
It's just interesting that he's a stay-home dad and he's just working on this as a hobby, stuff like that. So.
This guy basically goes do robot competitions and other software competitions and wins prizes, and that seems to be how he makes his money, right? So he has collected.
The prize is like $250,000, right? Every time.
And he's gotten the $250,000. Like he's gotten multiple checks in the hundreds of thousands from this DARPA competition alone. And apparently he's won prize money from other competitions as well. And he won his first one. He was literally just did everything on his own for the virtual. And as far as I know, he might have done the virtual competition each time on his own. Like the people who were helping him, I think were only helping hardware. So he basically just codes the solution for the simulated environment, and then like beats everyone on his own, and then takes a check and it's like, yeah, that's just my money now, which is a crazy story.
So what about the other teams like CoStar, which is the JPL and Caltech team, and I think they won the previous event, right? And also CMU, I think they won the first event. So what happened to them?
CMU did well, but they didn't place. So Marble got third, and CMU, were they fourth? They were close. JPL had some trouble. What
happened? Yeah, they did so well on the first, previous one, the second event, right? The urban event.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Let's see. Where were they? Yeah. CoStar, they were still fifth place of 8. So it's not like they, totally bugged out. No, 8 of 8 teams, they got 13 points.
13 points. Okay.
Ooh, that was CoStar, but what I heard was they had some smoke things that, some smoke traps in the final, right? So they released a bunch of smoke into the beginning area, and what I heard is it caught a bunch of their robots were near the area when they released a bunch of the smoke, and their sensors and mapping system just couldn't handle it. So the smoke interfered with their LiDAR and just kind of shut down their ability to navigate and make a map. And that
DARPA, you mean DARPA released the smoke?
Yeah. So DARPA released a bunch of smoke in the final, and I think they did it for each team. They released so much smoke that it was coming out of the front of the cave. And we, as the people sitting outside, just kind of waiting to see what happens, saw the smoke coming out, and we're like, okay. It didn't, maybe we kind of got, I guess, lucky, because I think all of our robots were past the area of the smoke, and I don't think it really impacted any of them in our final run.
So it's about timing thing kind of thing. If you're unlucky, you think stuff too early.
There's definitely, elements of luck and unluck. I mean, so in the end, you had 1 hour run, and your score on that determined your score for the whole thing, right? That's how they placed. And there's a lot of hardware and a lot of stuff that can just randomly go wrong. I mean, we had a lot of things go wrong too. So you can call us lucky or resilient that either more stuff didn't go wrong, we were lucky, or resilient to have a bunch of issues.
Yeah. How did the multi-robot autonomy work for you?
Obviously flawless, right? Since this is publicly being, this is public information, I'm going to say there is absolutely no problems. No, the autonomy worked well. I'll be honest about it. So the autonomy worked well. But on the other hand, basically the way they did the competition is you drove down one tunnel and you had a room with 3 branches, and they literally, one was urban, one was tunnel, one was cave. So in one sense, the autonomy challenge the multi-agent autonomy wasn't that tricky, because you wanted agents to go down each branch, right? And in the end, the operator, wanted to specify, because we had run the course and we knew what was down there roughly. They changed things up, but we knew we wanted one robot, this type of robot, to go down this. We wanted the Boston Dynamics Spot robot to go in the urban area. We wanted one of our Track Titan vehicles to go down the tunnel area, things like that. So the autonomy challenge wasn't that high, in the multi-agent coordination wasn't that tough in the final. They went on their own branches and they went. We also, I think, but it worked well. What we did have worked well. We also had a lot of good tools for having the operator sort of inject their knowledge. This is an interesting problem. When you have agents trying to coordinate and do their thing, how can the operator give guidance while it's still going on, right? Where we had issues trying to tell the operator what was coming back. So I think one of the examples that I've been using in a lot of our stuff is they had what they called a dynamic obstacle. A robot went in a room, and they literally dropped some stuff behind it to block off that entrance. But our operator didn't want the robot to keep going. They wanted to back out and go a different path, because he knew further past that room is a dangerous area that had made this Spot robot fall repeatedly. The issue is, he tells it that the robot tries to go back. It sees that it's blocked off. It literally can't, because a wall appeared. So it starts exploring the room again, and the operator was looking at other things, comes back and is like, why is the robot still exploring this room? I told it to go somewhere else. So the problem we had a couple of times was not clear. There's like a lot of information being thrown at the operator, right? So trying to clearly display why choices were made to pick one task over another so they can understand what was going on. That's, I think, the biggest takeaway from our side is like, hey, I mean, it's not easy and you wouldn't want that information up all the time because it'd be overwhelming, but they need to have an option to be able to view that and say, oh, like this is what happened. Now I understand why it did that. It's not an issue, or it is an issue. It says it did that, but I have like human knowledge that that's wrong. There's something going on. I'm just going to intervene.
The communication between the robots and the operator.
Yeah, the situational awareness is how you could put it. When there's so much information, and it's not just about what the robot's doing, but why it's doing it, right? How to get that why in a time crunch scenario. This is getting really detailed, though, and I feel like this has gone way past depth of what we should do on a podcast.
No, that's good. I mean, this
audience.
is not the end. You know, we're going for a long time, so if people are not interested, you know, they can just stop listening, I guess.
That's true. That's
right?
true.
But you never know, you know. But maybe someone will try to sleep right now, so maybe it's good, you know, slowly help them drift into, you know, REM sleep.
Like I said, this is probably not easy to imagine, but they have a lot of YouTube videos up now on the DARPA's YouTube channel, so you can definitely go see what it is, and I think there'll be some cool stuff, some cool highlights on there. If you want to get an idea of what these robots actually looked like driving around in these tunnels and whatnot.
Okay, nice. So how did you guys celebrate it after the win? After the second place win?
We kind of did our celebration before we knew when we finished our run, we got back to the garage and Team Cerberus was waiting because they knew at that point that they had scored more than anyone else. And so we were both kind of like, there's like a minute where we were chatting and then they're like, okay, so like, just like, what did you get? Right. Cause we wanted to know. Then we found out that we got the same score. So we didn't know for sure who was, going to win actually until the next day when they had the award ceremony. We basically did our celebrating that night anyway. I think the team overall decided that first or second, we did really well. And there were some extra challenges for us, right? 'Cause the main team being in Australia, most of the core team didn't get over here and we didn't bring as many robots as we would have ideally wanted because of those limitations. So I think a lot of people initially were like, we want to have a good showing, but we probably might not be able to contend for the win because we're kind of like handicapped. Yeah. But then, so by the, you know, being able to confirm at least second, I think we just celebrated by just like going out that night. And some of the guys were definitely yelling, we won $1 million and we beat NASA at random people on the street. Because we knew that those two things were true. Like we had already beat the CoStar team with JPL and NASA. So they were yelling that occasionally around Kentucky. There were some very confused tourists in Kentucky who were like, okay, like these people are weird. Imagine going, like you're in Louisville, Kentucky, and this Australian starts yelling that they beat NASA on the sidewalk at like 11 p.m. at night. Okay, what would you think?
We also with Australian accent, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun time. You know the Shu, you were on the project. It's a fun time.
Yeah. What about, I mean, Cerberus is also a European team, right? So did they bring their whole full team or no?
I think they had, I mean, I didn't get into the details, but it seemed like they had most of their people. They had a lot of people.
I guess Europe is as strict as Australia. Right?
Yeah,
Australia is very strict.
Right. I think they're finally either letting up or getting close to it because their vaccinations are getting high. But they, you know, there's been a lot of news about how Australia's had like some very strict things. Yeah. And yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So we could have got more points. So COVID subterranean.
We can always point. You always have an excuse for something that's not within your control that totally cost it, right? Yeah. No, I think, I mean, anything could have happened, but I think with one more platform, one more robot to send in, we would have had a much better chance at getting, you know, probably several more points, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that makes a difference. Maybe something catastrophic happens and that robot ends up actually hurting the team. You know, anything's possible.
Gotcha. Cool.
All right. That's the DARPA Sub-T challenge.
Yeah. A few last questions for you. I guess, just last two questions. What do you think is the best lesson for you, I guess, from this Sub-T? challenge competition?
So, I mean, this is going to be kind of technical related, but I think one of the big, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I've learned on the project, but one lesson I think I took away is debug visualization. So, I mean, most people who do code, they know that building in ways to debug your code is important. Ways you can see what's happening on the inside. And we have that in ways that can output data and saves data about what's going on. So afterwards you can analyze and say like, oh, it made this choice because of this reason. Was that a mistake or was it just something we didn't notice? But I think trying to make live tools for visualizing that is something I didn't prioritize personally. And in hindsight, it would have been really good because, well, one, when you need to make, at the end of a project, when you need to show people what you did, it looks cool, right? If you make a good visualization, it's an easy way to generate content to show other people. And if you're anyone in engineering or science, at some point you have to show other people your work for it to matter. But also I think that would have led naturally to better ways to visualize what's going on and why for the operator. Maybe not the same detail or the exact same as the debug visualization, but I think it would have led to similar ideas like, hey, this could be useful for them to be able to see when they're actually running it. So the next time...
How's that debug visualization differ from like communication, situational awareness to the operator?
I mean, well, debug visualization isn't something that's necessarily intended for the operator to use, right? So in debug usually means like it's not something for normal operation, but when you're trying to figure out what's going on. So making those tools as like an investment, like it takes time and effort to do that, right? Write up that code and create it. But I think it's something that would have paid off. And like my next project, I'm going to make that a priority, right? Like, I mean, if it's something simple, right? You can have it print out text on your screen and you can just read the text. But if you have something once something starts to get more involved or intricate, say, hey, it might be helpful to really visualize this to make it easier to, interpret what's going on at a glance.
Okay.
This is a very specific technical lesson. I don't have a clever way to spin robot competition into life lessons.
What about non-technical lessons?
Yeah, right. Like some sort of life lesson to take from underground robot teams.
What's your most, what do you call that? Experience, I guess? What do you like most about it, I guess, maybe? About the competition, the challenge. In general, I mean, if you summarize it, how do you like it? Like, how do you like your involvement? Like,
what I liked most is was working with the CSIRO team. So, I started this project as a graduate student, a PhD. And as we've talked about before on the show, PhDs spend a lot of time working by themselves in a lab. And being able to just work with a team of people who are good, very good, and like learn from them and work with them was very nice. Like you learned a lot. You're able to do so much more. There's just times when on your own you might deal with an issue for hours and hours, but when you have like a team, you can like ask someone and they can help you resolve it much quicker with much less effort. And it's just more fun. Like it's more enjoyable working with other people than doing things on your own. So I think that was the part I liked best after many years of basically solo research. It was nice.
Yeah, writing papers and doing other stuff.
Yeah, and the Australian team, they're all really friendly and nice. Very, enjoyed working with them a lot. So it's good. I mean, any job really, enjoying the people you work with is going to be a big part that makes you, happy or not happy at your job. So.
Yeah, I still remember when I was traveling to Australia for the project, right before, like in Atlanta airport, right, I was leaving. Right. And then people were announcing, we are just describing, and how nice Australian people are. And we are super nice and stuff like that. And then she realized that she talked too much about Australian. It makes it sound like Americans are really not nice people. So we had to add something in the end. Americans are very nice too, but, we are just, anyway, she tried to speak a little bit, but, you know what I'm saying? She's like,
I get what you're saying.
How nice the Australians are.
Yeah.
I think then that's one of my biggest what I like most about working on a project too. the people and also interesting stuff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're going to get a job with people you like doing something that's interesting, I mean, what more can you ask for, right? I mean, I guess you can ask for enough money that it doesn't like you're not poor. If you get all three of those things, you're good. Probably keep that job.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's
all right. Well, this
good.
podcast has gone pretty long now. As you can see, my cats are starting to get anxious because they want dinner.
Yeah.
So we'll call it there on DARPA.
Before we go, I have to talk about. I actually just went to Niagara Falls yesterday.
Niagara Falls. Well, I thought you were bouncing between Atlanta and California.
No, I'm in Syracuse next week.
That's right. You did tell us that. Sorry.
Yeah.
How was Niagara Falls?
Syracuse, I think New York is like 2.5 hours from Niagara Falls. So I just drove there yesterday.
How was it? Worth it?
Yeah, it's good. I wish I stay overnight, I guess. Cause it was very majestic, I guess. The fall and the stuff, and just amazing, I guess. Yeah.
You can't cross the border, right?
I can.
Oh,
yes, I can. Yeah, I can. But my passport. That's stupid. My passport is still being renewed. I sent in like almost like six months now. No, 4 months now, and I supposed to get it back like in 12 weeks, but I still haven't got it back. So I cannot travel across the border. And however, I wish I could, because across the border, these tall buildings in Toronto, and these in Canada, right across from the American side, you can see these tall buildings, and on the building it says casino.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I should go there and play some poker, you know? So, but I could not go but now I know next time I will stay at a Canadian hotels, and when I go to Niagara Falls. Also, on the Canadian side, looks way much nicer, like very nice skyscrapers, you know, just look, the street looks very nice too, like clean, stuff like that. American side is a little bit iffy, so.
The Canadian side is better.
It is better.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys.
Oh, you
no
have
pride in your country.
Oh yeah, I stayed in Niagara Falls for a while. Like, you know, like
for what?
Like on vacation. When I was young,
when?
like I 19, 18.
Oh.
Well, you grew up not so far.
It's an 8-hour ride from Massachusetts. So it was a ride, but it was it is drivable. Montreal was only 5, so I've been to Montreal like 3 times, but Toronto.
So you agree the Canadian side is much nicer?
Well, yeah, I mean the Canadian side is Toronto.
Yeah.
So it's like one of their premier cities, whereas like the American side is just like Niagara Falls.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was like, why can't the American side just copy whatever Canada is doing, right? So
yeah, no,
but no one wants to live on the northern border of their country. Neither the Canadians nor the Americans, right?
Wow.
The Canadians go as far south as they can.
Yeah.
And
but Canadian make it nicer. Oh yeah, it's south for them, I should say.
Right.
Yeah. If you live in northern Canada, you're frozen.
I saw a statistic once. Yeah. I was gonna say, I think I heard 90% of Canadians live within 100 miles of the U.S. border.
Wow.
So, and I mean, it goes a lot more than 100 miles up, right? They got a lot of Arctic wilderness up there.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're as big as U.S. land mass, right? So,
but it's all concentrated.
Yeah.
And the border, and the U.S. border.
That actually makes sense, because Montreal's within an hour of the border. Toronto's right across the border. Then, like, Winnipeg. I feel like Vancouver may be a little bit above the west. I don't know how far up it is, but it may be a little bit, not right at the border.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I don't know.
Good.
You should always feel free to double check facts that, someone read on the internet once upon a time, some number of years ago, but it seems legitimate. Doesn't seem that far off, at least.
Yeah.
Well, the big cities I can think of check boxes.
Yeah, one thing I was surprised.
Vancouver's
actually,
right next to Seattle, or right next to the border. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, then all four are, so there you go.
Like Portland, right? Portland, Oregon, and all this stuff. Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I was surprised about Niagara Falls is actually Nikola is very, really associated with that Nikola Tesla.
Oh, don't they generate power there?
I think so. Like AC power. That's what Nikola Tesla tried to do, right? I think so. Yeah. So
That's
and the AC of course changed the world, right? So that's one of the movie they show, like how AC started in Niagara Falls in the US, like in the Niagara Falls, and it just like light up the whole world basically.
Yeah, so much of the like basic technology for generating and distributing power was created by Tesla.
Yeah.
Well, you know the story of Thomas Edison, right? And the current wars?
Yeah. Thomas Edison doing some really crazy, shitty, like not shitty, like very sketchy stuff to get Tesla's AC power, like kind of to show that DC is better or something,
Right.
Anyway,
but DC's, for people who aren't electrical engineers, DC power is not better. It wouldn't work large scale. It wouldn't be able to transmit a lot of power long distance. But yeah, Thomas Edison like electrocuted animals in the street using AC to try to show how dangerous it is, despite the fact that DC power could also electrocute and kill animals.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a scummy guy.
Yeah, I mean, when we're growing up, we always heard, Thomas Edison, is a genius and stuff like that. But I guess he's a better businessman than Nikola Tesla, because I think Edison got rich, right? And then actually Nikola Tesla died poor, so
Tesla
really
was
destitute.
a visionary engineer and scientist. Edison was a smart businessman.
Yeah. Anyway, but either way, Tesla, I think right now Tesla is way more well respected than Edison. So
yeah, he has this car company that's huge. All right, bad jokes.
Yeah, it is bad jokes.
All right, sorry.
But still, he's paying respect to him, so that's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, unless anyone has any other topics, I think we should call it for there.
Sounds good.
Junto Club.